If your Social Security check didn't show up in March, you are not alone, and you are not being cut off. Here's exactly what's happening. The Social Security Administration has shifted the March 2026 SSI payment to February 27th because March 1st falls on a Sunday. That means millions of Americans already received their March money last week and don't even realize it. And if you're not tracking this, you could accidentally spend it twice and come up short next month. Right now, over 70 million Americans depend on Social Security every single month to cover rent, groceries, medications, and bills. And in 2026, the payment calendar has changed 3 times. March, August, and November all have 0 payment dates on the calendar, not because your money is gone, but because the SSA quietly moved those dates forward. On top of that, your 2026 COLA increase of 2.8% already kicked in, adding roughly $56 to the average monthly check, bringing it to around $2,071. And there are stimulus-related payment updates you need to know about before April hits. In this video, we're breaking down every single date, every dollar, and every change, so you never get caught off guard with your money again. So let's start right here, right now, with the most important thing on everybody's mind. When exactly is my Social Security payment coming in March 2026, and is there anything extra hitting my account this month? Because if you've been watching the news lately, you've probably heard a lot of noise, a lot of confusion, and honestly, a lot of misinformation floating around online. So today we are cutting through all of that and giving you the real, straight, no-fluff breakdown of everything happening with Social Security in March 2026. Let's talk about the payment schedule first, because this is where most people get confused and start to panic. The Social Security Administration operates on a very specific birthday-based payment schedule, and if you don't know how it works, it can genuinely feel like your money is missing or late. Here is how it breaks down. If you were born between the 1st and the 10th of any month, your Social Security retirement or disability payment for March 2026 arrives on March 11th, which is the second Wednesday of the month. If your birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th, your payment comes on March 18th, the third Wednesday. And if you were born between the 21st and the 31st, your check lands on March 25th, the fourth Wednesday of the month. That is the standard schedule, and it applies to the vast majority of Social Security retirement and SSDI beneficiaries across the country. Now here is where it gets a little different for SSI recipients, and this is the part that trips people up every single year. Supplemental Security Income, which is the program designed for people with limited income and resources, follows a slightly different rule. SSI payments are always sent on the first of the month, but when the first falls on a weekend or a federal holiday, the SSA sends that payment out early, meaning the prior business day. For March 2026, the SSI payment was actually sent on Friday, February 27th. If you receive SSI and you were wondering why money showed up in your account at the end of February, that was your March payment. It was not an extra deposit. It was not a bonus. It was simply your March SSI check arriving ahead of schedule because March 1st falls on a Sunday this year. This is incredibly important to understand because if you spend that money thinking it was something extra and then wait for another deposit on March 1st, you are going to be waiting for money that is never coming because it already came. Now let's talk about the 2026 COLA increase because this is real money that you may not have fully calculated yet. Every year, the Social Security Administration adjusts payments based on inflation, using something called the Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA. For 2026, that COLA came in at 2.8%. Now that might sound like a small number on paper, but when you look at what it actually means for your monthly check, it adds up in a meaningful way. The average Social Security retirement benefit in 2026 is now approximately $2,071 per month. That is up from around 2015's in 2025, meaning the average beneficiary is seeing about $56 more per month landing in their account. Over a full year, that is nearly $670 in additional income that you are now receiving compared to last year. And for couples where both spouses receive benefits, that number can be significantly higher. For people on SSI, the maximum federal SSI payment in 2026 is $967 per month for an individual and $1,350 per month for a couple. These are the federal base amounts, and depending on which state you live in, your state may add a small supplement on top of that. States like California, New York, and Massachusetts have state supplements that can push those numbers higher. So if you live in one of those states and you have not looked into whether you are receiving your full benefit, including the state portion, that is something worth checking on with your local Social Security office or by calling 1-800-772-1213. Now let's get into something that a lot of people are asking about right now: stimulus payments and whether there is anything extra coming in 2026. This is where you need to slow down and really pay attention, because there is a massive amount of misleading content online right now claiming that a new stimulus check is on its way to Social Security recipients. So let's be completely clear and honest with you. As of the recording of this video, Congress has not passed a new standalone stimulus check specifically for Social Security beneficiaries in 2026. There is no official $1,400 check, no $2,000 check, and no automatic deposit coming just because you receive Social Security. Anyone telling you otherwise is either misinformed or deliberately misleading you, and you deserve better than that. However, and this is where it gets important, there are some very real financial developments happening in Washington right now that could directly affect your Social Security income, and you need to know about them. There has been ongoing congressional discussion about expanding Social Security benefits, particularly for people who receive both Social Security and a pension from a government job. If you are a retired teacher, firefighter, police officer, or any other former government employee, you may have been subject to something called the Windfall Elimination Provision, or the Government Pension Offset. These two rules have historically reduced Social Security benefits for millions of public sector retirees, and in late 2024, Congress passed the Social Security Fairness Act, which eliminated both of those reductions. If you were affected by either of those provisions, you are now entitled to higher monthly benefits, and the SSA has been processing back payments and benefit increases throughout early 2026. If you have not yet seen your increased payment or received your back pay, you need to contact the SSA directly because those adjustments are rolling out over time and some people are still waiting. This is genuinely life-changing for a lot of people. We are talking about individuals who spent decades working in public service, contributing to their communities, and then having their Social Security benefits reduced because of rules that many people considered fundamentally unfair. The repeal of those provisions is one of the biggest Social Security changes in recent memory, and yet so many people still do not know it applies to them. So if you are a retired government worker, or if your spouse is, or if you have a family member who spent their career in public service, please make sure they know about this and check whether their benefits have been adjusted. Let's also talk about Medicare premiums, because for Social Security recipients, this directly affects how much money actually lands in your bank account every month. Medicare Part B premiums are deducted directly from your Social Security check, and in 2026, the standard Part B premium is $185 per month. That is up from $174.70 in 2025, which means you are seeing about $1,030 more taken out of your monthly payment than you were last year. Now, for most people, the COLA increase more than covers this premium increase. Your 2.8% raise was larger than the Medicare premium hike, but it is still important to factor this into your monthly budget so you are not caught off guard when your net deposit is slightly different from what you might have expected. On top of Part B, there is also Medicare Part D, which covers prescription drugs. The average Part D premium in 2026 is around $46 per month, though this varies significantly depending on your specific plan. And one of the biggest changes to Medicare drug coverage in 2026 is the $2,000 out-of-pocket cap on prescription costs that took effect this year under the Inflation Reduction Act. This is enormous for seniors who take expensive medications, because in previous years, some people were spending thousands of dollars out of pocket on their prescriptions. That cap now protects you, and if you have not revisited your Medicare Part D plan recently, 2026 is a great time to make sure you are enrolled in a plan that works best for your medication needs. Now, let's circle back to the payment schedule for the rest of 2026 because earlier we mentioned that there are 3 months this year where SSI recipients will see their payment arrive in the prior month. We already covered February 27th for the March SSI payment, but the same thing happens again in August. The September SSI payment will actually arrive on August 29th, 2026 because September 1st falls on a Tuesday, but there are processing considerations that push it earlier. And then again in November, the December SSI payment will arrive on November 28, 2026, because December 1st falls on a Tuesday, and that follows the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, which is a federal holiday. This is not the government shorting you or skipping your payment. Your money is still coming. It is just arriving on a different day than the first of the month because of calendar and holiday rules. Knowing this in advance means you can plan your budget around it instead of panicking when you look at your account balance. Here is something else worth understanding. Your Social Security benefits are subject to federal income tax depending on your total income, and many people are surprised to learn this. If you file your taxes as an individual and your combined income, which includes your adjusted gross income, any non-taxable interest, and half of your Social Security benefit is between $25,000 and $34,000, you may owe taxes on up to 50% of your benefits. If your combined income exceeds $34,000, up to 85% of your benefits could be taxable. For married couples filing jointly, those thresholds are $32,000 and $44,000 respectively. Now, this does not mean half or 85% of your check is withheld. It means that percentage is included in your taxable income. But if you have not accounted for this in your tax planning, it is something to review with a tax professional, particularly if you have other sources of income like a pension, investment returns, or part-time work. One more thing that we want to make sure you know about for March 2026 specifically, the SSA has been rolling out new identity verification procedures in recent months as part of a broader push to reduce fraud and protect beneficiaries. If you receive a letter from the Social Security Administration asking you to verify your identity, do not ignore it and do not panic. The SSA has legitimate reasons for reaching out, and responding promptly protects your benefits. However, also be aware that scammers are very active right now pretending to be from the SSA and calling people to demand verification or threaten benefit suspension. The real Social Security Administration will never call you and threaten to suspend your benefits, will never demand payment over the phone, and will never ask for your Social Security number via text message or email. If you get a call like that, hang up. If you receive an official letter from the SSA and you are unsure whether it is real, call the official SSA number directly at 1-800-772-1213 to verify. The My Social Security online portal has also been upgraded significantly in 2026. If you have not set up your account at ssa.gov, this is genuinely one of the best things you can do for yourself right now. Through that portal, you can check your payment history, verify your benefit amount, update your direct deposit information, get your benefit verification letter, and even manage certain Medicare requests, all without waiting on hold or driving to an office. Millions of seniors are still not using this tool, and they are missing out on a level of control and transparency over their own benefits that simply was not available a decade ago. We also want to touch on direct deposit because it is the single most reliable way to receive your Social Security payment. If you are still receiving a paper check in the mail, you are taking an unnecessary risk every single month. Mail can be delayed, lost, stolen, or damaged. The SSA strongly recommends direct deposit, and in fact, most new beneficiaries are enrolled in it automatically. If you are still on paper checks and you want to switch, you can do it through your My Social Security account by calling 1-800-772-1213 or by visiting your local SSA office. Once your direct deposit is set up, your payment lands in your account on the scheduled date. No waiting, no worrying, no trips to the mailbox. So, when you step back and look at everything we have covered today, the March 2026 payment schedule, the SSI early payment dates, the 2.8% COLA increase, the Medicare premium changes, the Social Security Fairness Act, and what it means for former government workers, the prescription drug cap, the 3 months with shifted SSI dates, the tax considerations, the fraud warnings, and the online account tools. What you are seeing is a social security system that is actively changing, actively updating, and requiring you to stay informed in order to get every single dollar you are entitled to. Nobody is going to knock on your door and make sure you got everything right. This is your money, your retirement, your security. And knowing the facts is the most powerful thing you can do to protect it.